UFC Fight Night 155, and that is with Jay Paglia from The Sports Keg. Hi Jay, how's it going? Happy Friday.
What's up, Nat? How are you?
I'm great. I thought it was Thursday until we were doing the show, and then I realized it was Friday because of the subjects we were talking about, and I think it's Friday, so that's kind of cool. And
it was a good week last week.
It was a good week last week, and obviously Dave Betts couldn't be with us, unfortunately. He is having internet issues, but is he going to come on your show I watched your show, actually. Well, I watched the replay of your show. It's late for him, or early in the morning. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning. You can see him like trying to stay awake, but he's dedicated. You guys are dedicated to this sport, I have to say.
We are, definitely. Yeah, he gets done with the fight cast with me like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, he said at one point he was like driving to McDonald's or something, and he was doing it from his phone, driving to McDonald's to go for some food. How do you? Because you guys film like for like 6-7 hours. Like, do you eat like
on the weekends? Yeah, no, I don't really eat until after. On the weekdays, we usually go for like 4.5 hours, but on the weekends, we go hard. We're like there for like 8 hours.
I don't think I.
But we picked up a few thousand last on Amanda Nunes. I didn't buy the yacht, but you know.
Almost. So almost. You've got the anchor. You've got the sails.
This is a terrible card.
Yeah.
This the card on Saturday is really bad. Most of the card is a pass. Next weekend though is going to be great.
Well, I would disagree actually, and I love speaking with you guys, and I obviously want to try and do my part as well. I've found some nice bets actually that I'm quite interested in, and
really.
Yes. So the first one, obviously, well, we have to also talk about the main event, and we'll get to the main event in a minute. But I'm actually quite liking Vince Morales at the 1.75. Now, he actually opened up as an underdog, and there's a ton of money that's going on him, which is obviously making him more so the favorites against Benito Lopez. I got him at a better price, but 1.75, would you say there's still value on that?
I think that the line is right. I thought that line was basically a complete pass for me, to be honest.
It's true.
I didn't really like the fight at all.
Oh. Just what you don't think that Vince Morales can do it?
He's just not really tested in. I mean, he fought Song Yadong, who is a beast. He fought on last week's UFC 239 card and was impressive. That kid is a stud. So I don't really hold that against him. And his only other fight in the UFC that we have to judge him on was against Sahabi, and he won a 3-round decision, but I didn't think he was that impressive in the fight. So for me, I just thought it was a pass. To be honest, almost all the fights on this card I just couldn't find value on. Like, wow. I like where Dave was going in his punching parlay. I agree. I like both of those fighters. If you want, we could break down those fights.
Sure.
And I also like the main event.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a pick in the co-main event also. But in terms of Morales, I don't know. I just didn't see it. I have to see more from this kid before I could bet on him.
Yeah. Well, I just pulled out. Well, I have to say, Mississippi Kid said, agreed, Natalie. He agrees with me. So he's like, there's a lot of money is going on. Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling a little less like, oh God, what did I do? No, so Vince Morales. Okay, so I just actually pulled up Dave's punching parlay, and one of them is Juliana Pena, which is actually one of my looks as well on the card. Now, she's just coming off of maternity leave, which sometimes can be a little unpredictable. She's super low priced at 1.57, but she really is in great form. So at 1.57, that is part of Dave's punching parlay, I think. Is it punch?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. He actually got the price at 1.64 minus 156. Do you like Juliana Pena against Nico Montano?
Yeah, I think you're dead on. So I completely agree. I think it's probably one of the best spots to make money on the card. I don't really understand why Juliana Pena is not a bigger favorite in the fight. I understand she's coming in off a long layoff because she became a mom, but I'm seeing her at like 1.60 against Nico Montano, whose only win in the UFC is against the librarian. I call this chick the librarian because she has no business being in the UFC. I am not a Roxanne Modafferi fan, so I mean she has a win over her. She has 6 fights, Montano, in her entire pro career, only one in the UFC. She's moving up a weight class, and she's also coming in off a 1.5 year layoff. So I think Jessie Pena grapples better than Nico Montano does anything. I think she's got a proven track record. She's won 4 of the 5 fights she's fought in the UFC, and her only loss in the UFC is against probably the second best women's MMA fighter right now in Bullet Shevchenko. I think if Jessie Pena was not coming in off the layoff, she'd probably be around the -300 range. So I think because of the layoff, the book set a soft line. And I definitely think that it's a place that we could take advantage of it. I bet it for a unit. So I think you're right on the money there.
Yay!
I like it. We're gonna make you a fan.
I have to say, I'm listening to you guys. I want to, I'm learning. I'm listening to your Sports Keg show as well. All right, so 1.57. There we go. Now, the other one that I wanted to talk about, and this is quite even. Now, Mississippi Kid is going for. He said he's going for Ryan Hall. I was leaning a little bit to Darren the Damage Elkins, priced at 2. I just thought that he was a step above Ryan Hall, but obviously Mississippi Kid is going against me. Just if anybody is watching for the very first time, I am just learning UFC betting, so that's why I've got Jay here. So would you take Darren Elkins? Are you saying that there's no value on that? It's very evenly priced.
Yeah, I think it's a low-key candidate for fight of the night. I think it's going to be really competitive, and I think that the line is priced right. I really don't see an advantage on either side. I think it's the kind of fight where you just sit back and enjoy it. I mean, he got knocked out by Ricardo Lamas, who, I mean, that's not a great loss because, Ricardo Lamas, I would say, is probably on like the downslide. Mm-hmm. Darren Elkins is he's a really tough guy. He's a brawler. He takes so much damage that, I mean, he has to have CTE like by the end of his career because, I don't hold his Alexander Volkanovski loss against him because I think he's a future champion. But, early January 2018, I thought was the best time to get on Elkins because he looked phenomenal against the fight with Michael Johnson. But right now, a 1.5 years later, I just don't really see value on the fight. If I had to lean a certain way, I would lean where you're going. I would probably lean Darren Elkins, but I respect Ryan Hall enough to just stay off the fight.
Okay. All right, so there we go. Yeah, you are a little bit on the fence here, aren't you, with some of these ones? But you are liking Juliana Pena at 1.57.
Yep.
The other one as well is the final one, and then we'll get to the. So you don't really like Vince Morales, but Mississippi Kid does. But the 1.57, there was more value earlier. He was the underdog. He's now the favorite. Jonathan Martinez at 2.25 against Ping Juan Lui. Should Martinez be favorites? I think that's quite a good price. I think he should be the favorites in this fight, but he is not.
Man, you're picking like all the fights that I really don't like at all.
Really?
Yes.
Well, all right. Anybody watching?
This is another fight where I have to see more from Jonathan Martinez than what we've seen so far. I mean, the only thing I can judge him on is the only fighter that he's fought, I think, worth anything was Andre Sukumtat. And, he lost a 3-round decision there. And I have to see more from the kid. Like this entire card, I'm telling you, Nat, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 bets right now that 3 I would definitely feel comfortable giving out, and maybe a 4th where if I had to lean a certain way, I would probably give a pick out on the co-main, the main event. But other than that, it's slim pickings. A lot of times, like the UFC used to fight once a month, and then you would get the best of the best talent, and then it would be so much easier to bet on these cards. Now they have an event every week.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they fight, guys fight that you can't find a lot of tape on, or they've only fought once or twice in the UFC. And it's really hard to judge their value against the line until you have a chance to see them more. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, Fight Night 155, maybe 3 plays, maybe 4 plays. But next weekend's UFC 240 card, which looks awesome, I think we could find a lot more value in.
All right. What time does Fight Night Eastern Time start tomorrow?
I want to say 6 p.m.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, 6 p.m. I think the prelims start.
All right. So you said there are 3 plays, a possible 4th. So run us through the plays that you think that there is value on.
Well, the main event is I did the write-up for Aspen Ladd and Jermaine Durandamy. This was the first time in 3 months that Dave and I have been on the opposite sides of a fight. He put Jermaine Durandamy in his Dogs article, and I like Aspen Ladd. It's one of the few fights that I've gone into my research thinking one fighter would win, and came out the other side thinking another fighter would win. Like, I don't begrudge anyone for taking a shot at plus money with Jermaine Durandamy. When I first saw the lines for the fight, I thought the wrong fighter was favored. She's an excellent kickboxer. She went 37-0 her pro career. She brings awesome kickboxing style to MMA. Her striking is her best attribute. Mm-hmm. Her fight IQ is very solid. Because she's fought in combat sports a long time, and she's seen and done it all. Now, her opponent, who I like, Aspen Ladd, she's the definition of raw talent. She's only fought 8 times in her pro career. She's 8-0. She's like a ball of just raw aggression that does nothing but walk forward and destroy whatever's in front of her. Her stand-up game is legit. She hits hard for the division, and while she doesn't have the stand-up game from like a technical standpoint that Jermaine Durandamy has, she hits hard enough and throws enough that I think Randamy will respect her stand-up. The X factor is the second that Randamy respects her on the feet, she's going to go for a takedown, and if she lands it, she'll destroy Durandamy on the ground. Her wrestling is really good. Her top control is really good. Nobody really gets up once they are on their back. And her takedowns are excellent because she's really strong for the division. The people that are on the other side of me, like Dave, would argue that Durandamy has like an 88% takedown defense, right? But my response to that is that's a completely fugazi stat. If you take a look at who she's beaten, she beat Holly Holm, who doesn't know what to do with a takedown. She beat Rocky Pennington, whose nickname is literally Rocky because the way she throws her hands. And since her fight with Amanda Nunes in 2013, the only people that have really attempted to take her down are Larissa Pacheco and Anna Elmos. And for somebody like me that lives and breathes the sport, I had to look those 2 girls up because I didn't even know who they were. So I think the bottom line is the most guaranteed path to victory for the fight is Aspen Ladd gets a takedown and ends it. And if she can get the takedown, I think she gets it done. And that line of setting her at like 1.65 for a girl that only has 8 fights is indicative of the advantage that she has on the ground. So I believe that she gets it done. I'm on the other side of Dave, so I took Aspen Ladd for 1 unit.
1 unit. And to quote you here from your article, it starts off by saying, I didn't see myself pulling the trigger on Ladd, but now it's a different story. And so you literally sort of obviously you assess, because with your squared up articles, you basically you analyze each fighter, their pros, their cons, their stats, their history, right. and then you go on to the next fighter. So I'm guessing, did you have a sort of a clear mind before, and then you obviously break down, and then the tip or the pick comes, and you're
right.
Like, so you didn't see yourself pulling it, you were kind of going on.
When I first looked at the line, I thought, wow, why is Germaine Durand to me plus 135 against Aspen Ladd? That line seems off.
Yeah.
But I went into it with a clear mind, and after I did the research, I came out the other end, and I thought that the line, I still thought that there was value on Ladd. I think that the advantage that she has on the ground is huge. If she can get Germaine Durand and me down, she wins the fight. If she can't, she loses the fight. And I think she can.
Wow. RKE 404 says, get 'em, Jay. Aspen all the way. So there we go. All right. So you like Aspen there at the 1.62. What else are you looking at? I know you like Julia Pena at 1.57. So what is your third look?
Yeah, I think the other end of Dave's punching parlay was Ricky Simone. Now, I didn't write a co-main event article on the fight because a lot of times when you have a fighter that was retired and he comes out of retirement, you really don't know what you're going to get. But I agree with Dave. Ricky Simone, he's a solid MMA fighter. You know, he sets a grueling pace. His pressure is really relentless. His ground game is okay. He's a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is solid. His top control has been impressive, the little that we've seen of it. He would rather stand up and bang. He has solid power for the division. Nothing crazy, but still solid. Mm-hmm. He's 15-1. He only has fought 3 times in the UFC. He hasn't beaten Murderers Row, but I mean, you know, he knocked out Davishvili. He's got 2 decision wins over Montel Jackson and Ronnie Yahya. He's good, but not great. But he's fighting a guy in Urijah Faber who is 40 years old and coming out of retirement. He used to be dynamic. He had some of the best wrestling earlier in his UFC career. With time, he formed an excellent stand-up game as well. But now he's a 40-year-old dad. He owns a couple gyms, and he runs Team Alpha Male, who is one of the good gyms like that train MMA fighters. I can't fathom why this guy is doing this at 40 years old. I'm not sure if it's a midlife crisis or I really don't know. As far as the fight goes, Ricky Simone at most books is like 1.26, which seems absurd to me. Do I think Faber wins the fight? No, but I'm not going to lay minus 380 on Ricky Simone. I think Faber's crafty enough where he won't get dropped and he won't get submitted within 15 minutes. So if I had to give a lean out for the fight, it would be Ricky Simone by decision at 1.62. I think I'm going to stay off of it, but if I was going to bet it, it would be Ricky Simone at 1.62.
All right. There we go. Thank you so much, Jay. So tomorrow, what time will you be on? Yeah, what time will you be on at 6 p.m. Eastern time, more or less?
Yeah, I believe we'll be on a half an hour before the event starts. I believe it starts at 6. So we'll probably be on around 5:30. We won. Obviously, we picked up profit last week. So we've had 18 fight casts. We've made profit in 16. So we're going for 17 of 19 tomorrow.
Wow. Wow, all right. Enjoy, have fun. I will be tuning in at some point, and very exciting. All right, have a wonderful Friday, and best of luck for tomorrow.